Good afternoon. This is Mike Walsh, Mayor for the town of East Hartford. Today is February 23rd, and it's my pleasure to provide responses to the questions sent to me by constituents and residents as part of my Ask the Mayor campaign. Ask the Mayor is a recently new initiative. This is our second week, and it helps me bridge the gap between the town administration, the things that we do, and the constituents and residents. It enables me to answer your questions and basically provide accurate information about the town you live in. So with that said, we have a handful of questions for this week, and I will start with a question from Kimberly. Her question says it's related to the housing authority, and it involves two types of things. The first one is a leak in her unit, and the second one is an ant infestation. As to this, I've already contacted the housing authority. I've written to Jim Kate via email and to Deb Bouchard. She's the executive director for the East Hartford Housing Authority. Deb has already gotten back to me, and she provided me information that there have already chased down one leak, and this appears to be a second leak that they're trying to enter your apartment with your permission to take a look at. It's so far eluded them, but they continue to put in work orders. And the second thing is related to the ant infestation. They have you scheduled for a treatment. Hopefully by the time you get this, the treatment has already been done. But if not that treatment, they'll have you scheduled for a subsequent treatment. So as of this date, the Housing Authority has reached out to me. They should already have been reaching out to you, and the issue related to your leak and the ants should have been corrected. The next question comes from Mary Ann, and it's a long question, so I'll read it. How much, if any, influence does the town have over the state's Route 2 project, as widening the High Street access impacts our home value and quality of life? We cannot use our decks or pool. Our house shakes and cracks are forming. They've taken the small green belt away, and we have lost privacy, wildlife, and sound abatement that we had before the project started. There are no plans for even a sound barrier at this time. The project also affects the beautiful new senior center. The noise and dirt make outdoor activities difficult, if not impossible. A sound barrier would be a step toward this for us and our neighbors as they bring the highway even closer to our homes. Thank you for your consideration. In Mary Ann, I was aware of the issue, not so much for the area of Route 2 that you were talking about, but I got involved related to a noise issue up near the mobile home park near Coca-Cola off Route 2. Connor Martin, who's in my office as my chief of staff, and I visited with DOT Commissioner Joseph Giletti, and we raised this concern to him. He categorically said, no way, no how, the state isn't doing sound barriers anymore, but we could contact Katie Dykes for arborvitae plantings. So I am on Commissioner Dykes. She's the Department of Energy Environmental Control or Protection. I am on her calendar to talk about a Town of East Hartford grant for arborvitaes along Route 2, but don't think we're going to stop there. At the next council meeting, which should be the first one in March, we are going to introduce a resolution, and I've gotten some confirmation from Chairman Rich Kehoe and other members of the council that it will be a joint mayor's office, town council resolution to really ask for some type of relief along Route 2, along the kind you're talking about, whether that's a sound barrier or something more imminent. I think at least I was shocked when Angie Parkinson passed along some pictures of what I think is your house and how close it is now that they've built kind of an access road as they widen Route 2. So I can't make any promises because we don't have a lot of control over the state of Connecticut or the construction on Route 2. But what I can tell you is the East Hartford Town Council and the administration will join together to send a resolution to the DOT Commissioner. We'll make our legislative delegation, Jason Rojas, Henry Jenga, and Jeff Curry, as well as Senator Saud Anwar, basically will apprise them of our issues, and we'll hope that's a first step towards something more permanent. The next question comes from Rafael. He said, Mike, I recently purchased a house here in East Hartford. Due to the market, its value has gone up significantly. So this is a little bit of a longer answer, but for those who are concerned about the mill rate and the budget, you should hear this. On Thursday, the day after this is being taped, the mayor's recommended budget will be released to the town council. The mill rate will decrease to 41.54. That's down from 49.35. But don't go there yet in terms of trying to apply that to the value of your house. A few things are going to happen. Where there's also strong consideration to reduce the town's 45 mill rate on cars down from 45 to 29. That's a proposal that Governor Lamont has made as a midterm budget adjustment. And really, that's the secret sauce in the upcoming budget. So I'm going to carefully read what the budget book says related to some classes of houses and basically 2 cars worth a total of about $25,000 and what that does to taxes. So again, in general, I'm speaking to resident A, that is someone who owns a small house with a market value of $142,000, an assessed value of $99,000, and 2 cars with a combined asset value of $25,000. Those are Category A people. Category B people are residents who own a medium-sized house with a market value of $198,000, an assessed value of $139,000, and 2 cars also with a combined value of $25,000. So those are the Category B examples. And then finally, the Category C residents are residents with a larger house with a market value of $255,000 or an assessed value of $179,000, 2 cars with an combined assessed value of $25,000. So here's where the rubber meets the road. For Type A taxpayers without Governor Lamont's 29 mill rate car tax decrease, their house taxes will increase by $297 a year using the new mill rate. But their car taxes will decrease by $87, and that's at the lower 41.54 mil. So that's a net increase of $210 per year, or 3.5%. And I'm not particularly thrilled that taxes are going up by 3.5%, but in a state where ad valorem, which is Latin for added value, the residential taxpayers, by the mere fact that their houses are worth significantly more, 25% or more than they were just a few short years ago, related to the flight from the cities of COVID, everybody's sitting on a larger asset. And in Connecticut, you own a little bit larger piece of the tax pie because of revaluation. However, if Type A households, if Governor Lamont's proposed car mill rate decrease is enacted into law, your house tax will still increase by $297, but your car taxes will decrease by $400, leaving you with an overall tax decrease of $103 or 1.7%. So you can see where on a small house, revaluation does take a little bit bite out of your taxes, but the governor's mill rate increase will ultimately result in a net tax decrease. Let's shift to Type B taxpayers and talk about those. So again, for Type B taxpayers without Governor Lamont's car mill rate decrease, their house taxes will increase by $416 a year. Their car taxes will decrease by $87 for a net tax increase of $329 or 4.1%. However, if we apply Governor Lamont's 29 mil increase, that will still cause your house to increase by $416, but your car taxes will decrease by $400, leaving you with an overall tax increase of $16 a year, virtually zero. And I want to remind everybody, last year's budget, the one we're in currently, had a small tax decrease for everybody. This budget year was balanced, not using any additional resources in terms of taxation. So last year, taxes were $136 million to all taxpayers in East Hartford. They're the same $136 million under the new reval budget. So all tax increases are related into the shift away from commercial, which is our business districts, and onto the residential taxpayers. I want that to be clear. There is no increase related to a budget additional spending. It's all related to simply the shift. And then finally, for Type C taxpayers, without Governor Lamont's mill rate, and this is the largest house that I mentioned, their house taxes will increase by $534 a year. but their car taxes will decrease by $87. That's a net increase of $448 or 4.5%. However, if Governor Lamont's proposed car mill rate decrease of 29 is enacted into law, the house tax will still increase by $534, but the car taxes will decrease by $400, leaving you with a net overall tax increase of $134 or 1.3%. So you can see here there's a lot of variables. No two taxpayers will be alike. Everybody's house generally went up in value, but everybody went up in a different type of value. Everybody probably has a car. Most people do. Most people have two. If you have older cars, you're not going to get as much of a tax decrease. If you have newer cars, you'll get a substantially larger tax decrease. So everything depends on, number one, does Governor Lamont's 29 mill rate go into effect? And two, what type of automobiles do you have? So I hope I've given you some flavor. I've answered Rafael directly with this information, but for the rest of the community, you now have some benchmarks. Revaluation will shift, but it's not a particularly egregious thing. And I want to remind everybody, your house is worth more than it's ever been. And if you list it, these things are selling in less than a week for more than people are asking. So I think that's good news economically, but if you're paying the taxes, we understand a dollar more is a problem. Next question comes from Nicole, and it's a longer question, but I'll boil it down to this. Does the East Hartford Police Department have a domestic violence unit? And the answer to that is yes. I just found out about a week ago, prior to getting this email, that we have a partnership with the Interval House, which the police department works closely with to be sure that victims of domestic violence here in town are treated respectfully so that we don't exacerbate the issue, and we also have a safe place for them to shelter if need be. So the short answer is yes, we do. And the longer answer is I have to have a more detailed discussion with the police chief to really understand what that entails. But I was encouraged that we do have such a thing. Question number, the next set of questions, there are three of them, come from Julio. The first one is, what is the town doing, concrete steps, to see to it that we, the residents, spend our hard-earned money here and not in the surrounding towns? And that's a consistent answer I've asked everybody. We all want things like Starbucks and Popeyes and whether it's Stop and Shop and so forth to be here in East Hartford so that we can support these businesses. But at the end of the day, those businesses have economic models. I call it the Starbucks model. Starbucks has a financial model that says, where should we put down our roots? And the short answer is their financial model demands that they build in communities where they're going to sell more coffee. That's pretty simple. East Hartford, with a $29,000 per capita income, is about half of what our neighbor to the south, Glastonbury, has. They're a little bit more than 60,000, I think 68,000 off the top of my head. My point being is, where is there more disposable income to land a business? Is that in East Hartford and Glastonbury? And the sad answer is it's in Glastonbury. That's why you see the Chick-fil-A's of the world, the Starbucks of the world, and some substantial growth over there. They also have land to expand on. It's less costly in the long run to build in Glastonbury because of open space than it is in East Hartford, where you generally have to take down a building. That could be asbestos related, that could be lead related, but there's substantial setup costs to establishing a business here in East Hartford that has nothing to do with your community and everything to do with an older commercial and housing stock. So the bottom line, to answer the first question, is we need to invite new residents into town. The Silver Lane apartment development will help that. It'll provide, at least on Silver Lane, $15 million of new disposable income. So we continue to focus on development, but we're somewhere between 5 and 10 years away from really having East Hartford be a destination place for retail businesses. The second question, what can be done about the increasing amount of motorcycles and pocket bikes running through our neighborhoods every spring, summer, and fall? And Julio, as we discussed on the phone, this question is vexing. We have no answer. These are young children, not particularly well supervised by their parents, or their parents aren't in the equation. and they run their pocket bikes literally all hours of the night. And they generally run them in groups of a dozen or 2 dozen, or in some cases, in and around Hartford, 100 or more at a particular time. I think you're aware that the town of East Hartford is governed by something called POST. POST is an acronym for basically police operating standards. We don't chase pocket bikes, and the children know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. We don't chase pocket bikes because we're going to run a child into a minivan of people going to church, or we're going to run a child on a pocket bike into the side of a tree. And that's neither good for the community, that's neither good for the child, and it's neither good for the police officer involved. So again, extremely vexing program or problem. I know it's about law and order. We're looking at alternate ways. If there are residents out there who's listening to this broadcast and they have quads or pocket bikes or motorcycles leaving yards that are related to them, please give that information to the mayor's office or the police department. If it comes to me, I'll see that the police get it. It's better if we take it offline and we confiscate those bikes if we're able to after the fact, rather than getting in a pursuit where somebody could possibly get hurt or killed. And it doesn't necessarily mean the person on the bike, it could mean the person that they hit. So it's a delicate situation, and I think you understand that unless it's a crime against an individual, we're certainly not going to go to that type of, interception for something that really amounts to a nuisance crime. So that's number two. And then, Julio, your third question is there a mechanism that can be used to get speed bumps installed on our residential streets? And I will promise, as I said on the phone, to talk to our public works director. Perhaps as a pilot project, we will roll out one speed bump and see how it does. We worry about our police responding. We worry about residents who, this may catch them by surprise, and we worry about our heavy equipment like fire trucks and public works vehicles with plows that may hit it. But I think there's a way we can balance it out to slow the traffic, to create not necessarily a hazard, but an area where, again, the goal of a speed bump would be to slow speeds down. So you and I talked about that. We're going to take a look at that with the Public Works Director and see how we do. The last question, which I don't really have a very good answer to, but it comes from an anonymous individual. And what is the town's employment policy for medical marijuana patients? And the answer is for police and fire, that will be taken into consideration in terms of the employment. The fact that we have recreational marijuana, there's a different set of laws that we act under. So simply saying, we can get recreational or medical marijuana for a particular reason, that's still, employment laws haven't caught up to that. There's still a prohibition, generally speaking, for that. That being said, if you have a specific instance where there's a particular job you are interested in, please reach out to our HR department or reach out to me. I'll be happy to get more information on it as it relates to your unique situation. So as we conclude today, I appreciate everybody's indulgence with the amount of time you've afforded me today. Thank you for submitting your questions. I'll continue to accept questions for Ask the Mayor Monday through Friday, and I'll provide the responses on Wednesday, just like I'm doing today. You are welcome to submit your questions to www.easthartfordct.gov/ask-the-mayor. Thanks and have a great day.